I never thought hiding someone would put my marriage at risk. But here I am, standing in my own kitchen, watching my wife, Rachel, slam her phone down on the granite counter, her eyes sharp, her voice trembling. "Where the hell is Sam, Ethan?" she asks. Not screams. That's the terrifying part. She's not yelling. She's calm, dangerous calm. I stir my coffee. "He's safe. That's all you need to know." "Would you risk your marriage to protect a man who's not even your blood?" That's the line I keep replaying in my head. And I know how it sounds. But it's not just about loyalty. It's about doing what's right, even when the people closest to you don't see it that way. Sam and I go way back. College dorm mates turned lifelong brothers. We've survived job layoffs, messy breakups, and a 12-day road trip from New York to Arizona in a car without AC. He's my person in the way some guys just are. He moved to Boston a few years ago after breaking up with a long-term girlfriend. At the time, I had just married Rachel, and we were in that cozy honeymoon phase where you still hold hands while grocery shopping. When Sam visited, we reconnected like no time had passed. He ended up staying in town for good. That's how he met Emily. Emily isn't just a new girl. She's Rachel's cousin. And yeah, we all thought it was weird at first. Friend meets family, high risk, right? But chemistry doesn't take family trees into account. They clicked instantly. Within a few months, Sam and Emily were living together in an apartment a few blocks from ours. Everyone thought it was perfect. That's the problem with perfect. Fast forward to about 3 months ago. I remember the night clearly because it was snowing and Sam never called me after 10 p.m. unless something was on fire, literally or figuratively. He said, "I need out, man. I need out now." Emily had been cheating. Not just cheating. Multiple men, Venmo payments, deleted messages, a burner phone, and worst of all, Emily's smug admission caught on a voice note Sam recorded. He played it for me. It was like watching a building collapse in slow motion. I didn't even ask questions. I just said, "Pack your stuff. I've got you." Rachel and I weren't supposed to be home that weekend. Her mother was sick, and we planned to drive upstate. But then her mom got better, and Rachel stayed back to work. I told her I had an office emergency. A white lie to buy Sam some space. I helped him load up most of his stuff while Emily was working a night shift at the hospital. He didn't take revenge. He didn't yell. He left a check to cover rent through the end of the lease and an email explaining everything. And then he disappeared. I arranged for him to stay in a cottage near the Berkshires. My old mentor owns it but rarely uses it. No mutual friends. No digital footprint. He needed space to grieve and rebuild. Rachel found out a week later. Not from me. From Maggie, her other cousin, who said Emily was devastated. That Sam just vanished and no one knew why. Kept it vague. Said Sam left to sort his mental health. But that wasn't enough for Rachel. "Your silence is betrayal," she said. "To my family. To me." I tried to explain. I said Emily cheated. That Sam was hurt. That he didn't feel safe. Rachel didn't believe it. Or maybe she didn't want to believe it. "Emily would never do that," she said. "She thinks I'm covering for him. And maybe I am. But not out of blind loyalty. Because I heard that voice note. I saw the bank records. And because I know what it looks like when someone is emotionally spiraling." Sam didn't need confrontation. He needed an exit. But Rachel doesn't let things go. Over the past 3 weeks, she searched Sam's Instagram, messaged his friends, even scoured old Google Maps tags. And last night, I caught her trying to unlock my phone while I slept. She used my fingerprint to bypass Face ID. That's when I realized this wasn't just about Sam. This was about trust. And we were rapidly losing ours. I changed my passwords. I locked down every app. She noticed this morning. That's why she slammed her phone. That's why she's standing there, now arms folded, staring at me like I'm a stranger in our home. "You don't protect your family," she says. I laugh cold and quiet. "Sam is my family." "Then maybe you should marry him," she snaps. And there it is. The crack beneath everything. It's not just betrayal she sees. It's rivalry. She thinks I've chosen someone else. that I've prioritized another person's safety over her emotions. Maybe she's right, but what does that say about the kind of safety she offers? I tell her I'm going for a walk. I don't. I head to my car. I sit in the driveway, engine off, phone in my lap. And I text Sam, "Still safe?" He replies, "Yeah, but I think it's time I told her the truth. Not for her. For you." I don't reply right away, because that might just be the most dangerous thing of all. When I came back from the car, Rachel was gone. Not just gone from the kitchen, gone from the house. I stood there for a second, thinking maybe she'd gone for a walk, but her coat, purse, and car keys were all missing. Only her wedding ring sat on the counter, next to a cup of cold tea and a sticky note with 3 words, "This isn't loyalty." When someone weaponizes loyalty to control you, it stops being love. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept checking my phone, hoping for a text. Nothing. She didn't come home. The next morning, I got a call from her mother. "Ethan, I don't know what's going on between you two, but Rachel's here with me. She's upset." I said I understood. I said I'd give her space. What I didn't say was that I was scared, not of Rachel leaving me, but of what she might do next. See, when Rachel's cornered, she doesn't retreat. She goes on the attack. She's the kind of person who once convinced an entire friend group to ice out a girl for copying her wedding flowers 6 months in advance. She doesn't argue. She strategizes. And now she had declared war. I found out 3 days later that she'd been messaging Sam's old coworkers. Not just the casual "how's life" messages. She was pretending to be me. She created a fake email address that mimicked mine. Same first name, same signature. She asked questions like, "Have you seen Sam? Just checking in. He hasn't replied to my messages." She created a digital identity of me. And I wouldn't have known if one of Sam's old coworkers didn't forward me the email out of suspicion. When I confronted Rachel, she didn't deny it. She just stared at me and said, "You gave me no choice. You impersonated me," I said. I needed to find out the truth. About what? Emily already admitted she cheated. Sam sent her a goodbye letter. You're protecting someone who destroyed another person's life. Emily's not perfect, but she didn't deserve this. And that was the moment I realized Rachel wasn't protecting Emily. She was protecting a version of herself. The version that never chose wrong. The version that believed family is always right, no matter what. That's when the threats started. "If you don't tell me where Sam is, I'll file for a separation. I'll tell my family you kicked me out. I'll say you've been emotionally abusive. She didn't need to finish. I knew the game, and I refused to play. I didn't fight back. I didn't plead. I just left the room. But it didn't stop. 2 days later, I got a call from Emily. She didn't call to apologize. She called to manipulate. "Hi, Ethan," she said, sweet as syrup. "I just wanted to know if you've heard from Sam. I know you're close. I miss him. I think he's scared." "Scared of you?" "Yeah, I believe that. That's not fair." "No, what's not fair is what you did to him. And now you're dragging my wife into this mess." "I didn't drag her. She cares." "She cares" is often code for she'll burn everything down to stay in control. After I hung up, I called Sam. "Did Emily contact you?" "No, but Rachel did." That stopped me cold. "What?" "She sent me a message on Instagram. Said she just wants to talk. Said she understands now." "Don't believe it." "I don't." I blocked her. We sat in silence for a while. And then Sam asked, "Do you think Rachel ever really believed me?" I said slowly, "she never believed you could be the victim, because if you were, then Emily was the villain. And Rachel couldn't handle that." There was more silence, the kind that's heavy, final. That night, Rachel came home. She didn't say anything at first, just stood in the doorway watching me pack up a suitcase. "You're leaving." "I'm staying at a hotel for a few nights." "I never said you had to leave." "You didn't have to." I zipped the suitcase shut and turned to face her. "You used my name. You lied. And then you threatened me. That's not a marriage. That's a hostage situation." She flinched, just slightly, but it was there. You're overreacting. No, I've just stopped underreacting. Her eyes welled up. Ethan, please. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to lose you. I paused. Something about that phrasing stuck with me. Lose me? You weren't losing me. You were trying to control me. That's not the same. And then I left. 3 days into the hotel stay, I got a message from Sam. One sentence. I think I'm ready to face her. I asked him if he was sure. He said, not for her. For me. I want closure. They agreed to FaceTime. I didn't watch. I waited. An hour later, he messaged. She cried. Said she misses me. Tried to guilt me. I hung up. And that's when I knew. Sam was finally free. But Rachel, that's a different story. Because that night she texted me. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I miss you. Just 3 words. Come home now. Some people don't apologize. They just reset the game and expect you to play again. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my notes app. And I started writing down everything I needed to say if I ever wanted to get out. Because sometimes the hardest part of leaving is realizing you have to. The message "come home now" sat unread on my phone for 3 days. I didn't answer it. Not because I didn't care, but because I knew if I walked through that door again, I'd be pulled into a war I wasn't ready to fight. And honestly, part of me wondered if I ever should. It was on the 4th day that the game changed. I got a call from Rachel's mother. Not unusual, we'd always had a polite, if distant, relationship. But this time, she didn't sound polite. She sounded rehearsed. Ethan, she began. I think it's time you came home and made things right. Rachel is heartbroken. Her family is falling apart. Emily's struggling. Maggie's exhausted. The baby's confused. You can't abandon them all. When someone says, make things right, what they often mean is, do what we want. I'm sorry, I said. But I'm not the one who made this mess. Oh, honey, she said with a sigh like I was a 5-year-old who broke a vase. Family is complicated. Everyone makes mistakes. Yes, and Emily's mistake was cheating. And Rachel's was trying to cover it up. Silence. Then the click of a call ended abruptly. I thought that was it. I was wrong. Later that day, I got a knock at my hotel room door. It was Maggie. I hadn't seen her in weeks. She looked thinner, more tired, and very much like someone who'd been crying for hours. Can I come in? She asked. Part of me wanted to say no, but I didn't. She sat down on the edge of the hotel couch like she didn't want to touch anything. I know you think we're all monsters, she started. But this wasn't supposed to go this far. Define this, I said. Because if you mean Rachel threatening to accuse me of emotional abuse, or Emily impersonating me online, or the entire family trying to guilt me into exposing my friend's location, then yeah, it went far. She flinched. I know, and I'm not saying what Emily did was right, but the custody thing, it's spiraling. That caught me off guard. What custody thing? Emily's ex is trying to get full custody of their daughter, because she moved back in with mom. And things aren't good there. I blinked. Wait, full custody? Yeah, the lawyer says the environment isn't stable. Too much fighting, too much drama. And now they're saying if Emily can't prove she's got a plan, she could lose her kid. And guess who they want to live with her? Rachel asked if you'd let Emily and the baby move in with you. I just stared at her. They thought if they could find Sam and make him talk, maybe make him come back, it would prove to the judge that Emily has stability, that she's not alone. By forcing a man who was cheated on to come back into the house like some prop, Maggie shrugged helplessly. I'm just the messenger. No, I said. You're a participant. Maggie stood to leave. Rachel's spiraling. I've never seen her like this. If you still care about her, do something. I didn't reply. I closed the door. That night I called Sam. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I think I know why she's doing all this. Why? She needs a scapegoat. Someone to blame so she doesn't have to admit her own family is toxic. I didn't disagree. Sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who believe they're the heroes in everyone else's tragedy. 2 days later, a letter arrived at my hotel. From a lawyer. It was a formal notice that Rachel had consulted legal counsel about temporary spousal separation and was pursuing shared asset reallocation due to emotional instability caused by lack of transparency in the marriage. Translation: she was trying to make it look like I was the unstable one. I called my own lawyer. She read the letter, then looked up and said, "Don't go back. She's not just reacting anymore. She's planning." Over the next week, I stayed in contact with Sam, barely spoke to Rachel, and started quietly moving my name off joint accounts. Rachel, meanwhile, kept texting. Not to apologize, to bargain. "If you tell me where Sam is, I'll ask Emily to back off. If you help us, you don't have to live with her. Just let her put it on the paperwork. I'll tell my family to stop if you just cooperate." It was exhausting and relentless until one night I got a message from Sam. Emily's ex's lawyer reached out to me. "What? Why?" "They want me to testify about the relationship, about the instability, about how she treated me. Are you going to do it?" He paused. "I don't know, but I know one thing. I'm never going back. I don't care what sob story she spins." I exhaled. For the first time in weeks, it felt like someone was drawing a boundary and sticking to it. Then the final blow came. Rachel showed up at the hotel. She didn't knock. She barged in. How she got past the front desk, I don't know. Probably sweet-talked someone. She always had that gift. She stood there, hands trembling, holding a folder. "I want to show you something," she said. Inside, screenshots, emails, a printed-out list of texts. All the stuff I already knew, but arranged in a neat little narrative. "I'm going to tell them it was all you, that you told Sam to ghost her, that you manipulated everything. If I go down, I'm taking you with me." And just like that, the illusion shattered. This wasn't love. This was leverage. I stood up. "Rachel," I said calmly, "get out." "You don't mean that." "I do. And I'll get a restraining order if I have to." She looked stunned, like she just realized the war she started wasn't going to end in her victory. She walked out, and I didn't stop her. The call was scheduled for 7:30 p.m., a FaceTime meeting between Sam and Emily, arranged through a neutral friend. No promises, no expectations, just a chance for closure. I didn't want to be involved, but Sam asked me to be in the next room, just in case things went south. I agreed, and I hated every second of it. I could hear the beginning through the wall, her voice too chipper, too high-pitched. "Sammy, wow, you look great." It made my skin crawl. He didn't respond for a beat. Then I heard him say, "Emily." That was all. There was a long pause. Then she launched in. "I know you must hate me. I made some mistakes, but you just disappeared. You left me, and I didn't leave you," Sam said calmly. "You cheated on me. You gaslit me. You drained me. And then, when I needed to breathe, you tried to use guilt to reel me back in." The worst apologies always begin with, "I know I messed up." But Emily didn't like that. I couldn't see her face, but I heard the shift in her tone. "Okay, I get that you're angry, but can't we at least be civil for the sake of..." "For the sake of what? A kid who isn't mine? A life you pretended we were building together while sleeping with other men? I never meant to hurt you. That's the part I'll never believe." Silence again. Then she did what manipulators always do when caught. She cried. Big, theatrical sobs. She begged. Said she had no one. That Maggie and Rachel were fighting. That her mom was exhausted. That her ex was threatening full custody. Then the final act. "You don't have to come back. Just say you forgive me. Please. For closure. For me." You're not asking for forgiveness. You're asking for access. And I'm cutting that off. Sam ended the call. He came out of the room and looked like he had aged 10 years and shed 100 pounds at once. Lighter. Exhausted. Free. I handed him a glass of water. He didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, he asked, "Do you think she even realizes what she did?" "No," I said. "But it doesn't matter. You realized what it cost you. And that's enough." That night, we both slept for the first time in weeks. But the next morning brought something new. Rachel showed up at my hotel again. I opened the door before she could knock. "Before you say anything," I said. "No." She blinked. "No what?" "No, you can't come in. No, I'm not telling you where Sam is. No, I'm not fixing this." Her mouth dropped open like she'd rehearsed a speech, and I stole the cue cards. "I came to apologize. You came to reset." "I don't know what that means." "Yeah, you do. Some people only say sorry to restore their power, not to make things right." She stepped back. "I didn't come here to fight." "Then stop pushing. Stop pretending. And stop dragging me into your cousin's legal disaster. You don't get it. If Emily loses custody, she'll fall apart. She already did. That's not on me. I just want to keep my family together." "Then maybe you should have told them not to rip it apart in the first place." That one hit. She looked like I'd slapped her. "You're being cruel." "I'm being honest. You don't want peace. You want control. You want to sweep everything under the rug so you don't have to face what your loyalty has cost." She didn't argue. Instead, she sat on the hallway floor, arms wrapped around her knees, and cried. For the first time, I believed the tears weren't for me or even Emily. They were for herself. Because deep down, Rachel realized she backed the wrong people, and she couldn't undo it. I sat across from her, against the opposite wall. Neither of us spoke for several minutes. Finally, she asked, "Do you still love me?" That question hit harder than any accusation ever could. Because the answer used to be automatic. Now I wasn't sure. "I don't know," I said, and I meant it. She nodded. "I guess that's fair. I'm not the enemy," I added. "But I won't be the collateral damage either." We parted there. No promises, no declarations, just the quiet space between two people who had run out of justifications. I packed the rest of my things that night. Sam offered me a room at his place, but I declined. I needed solitude. I rented a small Airbnb near the coast and stayed there. No distractions, no drama, just space. Over the next week, Rachel didn't contact me. Neither did Emily. No news was good news. Until one evening, my lawyer called. Rachel's lawyer withdrew the separation filing, she said. No formal action. No asset division. Nothing. I didn't feel relief. I felt tired. Sometimes when the storm passes, it doesn't leave peace. It leaves debris. I stared out at the water from the balcony of that Airbnb and realized I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of Rachel. Not of the fallout. Not of the silence. Because sometimes silence is the beginning. And I was finally ready to start again. 3 weeks after Rachel left my hotel room, I finally drove back to our house. Not to move back in. Not even to talk. Just to collect the last of my things. Some old photo albums, a few books, a framed drawing Sam made for me back in college. The house looked smaller than I remembered. Rachel wasn't home. I didn't expect her to be. But as I stepped into the living room, I saw something on the kitchen table. A letter, folded neatly, with my name on it. I didn't open it right away. Instead, I sat on the edge of the couch, looking around at the place where our life used to be. The framed wedding photo was still on the wall. Her mug was still by the sink. A pair of socks I'd forgotten about months ago sat balled up behind the TV stand. Everything and nothing had changed. The most haunting thing about grief is that it doesn't scream. It just lingers in the quiet. Eventually, I unfolded the letter. It was handwritten. No perfume. No drama. Just this. Ethan, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve it. I just want you to know I've started therapy. Not for us. For me. I lost myself somewhere in trying to hold everyone else together. Maybe I broke everything because I didn't know how to fix anything. I still love you, but I know love isn't ownership. I won't contact you again. You deserve peace. I read it twice, then a third time, and I cried. Not the broken kind. Not the desperate sobbing that comes from betrayal or loss. Just the soft, steady kind. The kind that comes when you finally put the weight down. Rachel didn't ask for a second chance. And for the first time, that felt like love. I packed the rest of my stuff into the car and drove toward the coast. I didn't have a destination, but I did have a plan. I stopped at Sam's place first. He'd redecorated. New plants, different art, a wall of sticky notes above his desk labeled, "Things I want to try." He looked healthier, not just in body but in soul. "Where to next?" he asked, handing me a coffee. "North, maybe, or west. I've got some PTO. Might disappear for a while." "You always did say you wanted to learn to surf." "Still do." We laughed. Felt good. Then he got quiet. "You think you'll ever talk to her again?" I thought about it and realized something. I think I already said everything I needed to say, just not out loud. He nodded. "That's fair. Sometimes the most powerful closure is the one that never gets spoken, just felt." I stayed with Sam for one more night. We grilled steak. We listened to old music. We didn't talk about the past anymore. Not because we avoided it, but because it wasn't the story we needed to keep telling. The next morning, I got in the car and drove for 6 hours without touching my phone. No GPS, no music, just the hum of the engine and the sound of wind pushing against choices I'd finally stopped running from. By sunset, I was parked on a hill overlooking the ocean. I rolled down the window. The air smelled like salt and something I hadn't felt in a long time, calm. I thought about writing Rachel back. I didn't, not because I was angry, but because she meant it. She gave me silence as a gift, not a punishment. I wouldn't disrespect that by turning it into another dialogue. Some people break you open just to show you how much light was trapped inside. I sat on that hill until the stars showed up. Then I pulled out my phone, not to call anyone, but to write a message I'd never send. "Thank you for breaking the version of me that thought love meant sacrificing yourself until nothing is left. Thank you for showing me that loyalty without boundaries is a cage. Thank you for letting me go without asking me to come back. I'm finally learning how to love without losing myself." I saved it to my notes. Then I turned off my phone. No noise, no notifications, just me and the horizon. Sometimes, starting over doesn't mean turning a page. It means writing a whole new book. And this time, I wasn't going to let anyone else hold the pen. Maybe you're like Ethan. Maybe you've been the one forced to choose between loyalty and peace, between speaking up and staying safe. Or maybe you've been Rachel. And the hardest thing to admit is that silence sometimes says more than 100 apologies. But what would you do? Would you protect your friend and risk your marriage? Would you forgive someone who hurt you deeply if they finally let you go? Let us know in the comments. This one's gonna get messy and real. And hey, if stories like this hit you right in the gut, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a confession that feels just a little too real. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve peace.